Hi everybody, Gene here. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, where every single week we answer the most common and uncommon questions about tapping and EFT so you can get the most out of your tapping and EFT practice, eliminate self-sabotage, and take the action that you want. As I'm recording this, I've just returned from Podcast Movement. Podcast Movement is the world's largest convention of podcast creators. It was really awesome. I was once again reminded of the fact that the most common way someone finds a podcast is from a recommendation of a friend. So if there's someone in your life who you know could benefit from a tapping podcast, please be our ambassador and pass this along. And only 33% of the population actually listens to podcasts in any regularity. So you might even need to teach someone how to do a podcast. I know if you're listening to this podcast have been significant to you. Even if you don't recommend this podcast, connecting them to podcasting will make their life better. I would really appreciate it. This is Gene Montrose-Sterling. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 379, originally aired October 10th, 2014, re-aired August 19th, 2019. Hi everyone, I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me. Today I have for you another one of the podcasts that we have moved from back in the archive, re-recorded, cleaned up, so it is a better version that you can use today. Today, the conversation is about what happens when we create goals and how that can be a positive, but also how it can create an emotional drag. And by simply naming a goal can actually slow us down. I've also included some tapping in here so you can tap along to it. If you are listening to this in the website, down below the player, I have included the written out script so you can go back and tap along to it again and again. If you haven't downloaded the Tapping Q&A app, which is available for both Android and Apple devices, in addition to having access to the audio, I also have a text session, that's TEXT, where I have written out the tap-alongs that we use in these podcasts. So one of the benefits of moving this out of the archive is we also have the tapping script written out, so you have access to it. Enjoy this conversation about how goals can be useful and how we can tap when resistance is created by them. One of the things that I have noticed recently with my clients is a number of them have been bumping into situations where the goals that they're setting and the expectations they have for themselves are actually causing them problems. And the reason why they're causing them problems is once we have expectations, then we have the opportunity to let ourselves down. Once we have expectations, then we introduce the ability to feel overwhelmed. And when we're overwhelmed, we take worse action. We spend more emotional energy. It makes it more difficult for us to be successful and to move forward. Because overwhelm is nothing more than expectations that feel like they can't be met. And the reason that this happens in most cases is because of the way we approach our goals and the way we approach our expectations. Now, if you have been a listener to any of my stuff for any period of time, you know that I am a huge fan of setting goals. You know that I love having an expectation of what is possible because when we have something that we're shooting for, it helps us to create a plan and it gives us the ability to measure how close we are getting to where we want to go to. I have an entire membership site, the Ruas Center, that is built around this idea of having clear goals and then tapping daily to help us to move toward those goals to clear out our issues that are stopping us from moving forward. So the problem isn't the goal, and the problem isn't the expectation of what I think is possible for me. The problem comes when we start to look at these goals and our sense of success as an all or nothing proposition. You know, I need to lose 25 pounds. And if I haven't lost 25 pounds, therefore I've failed. Or my business needs to grow by 35%. And if my business hasn't grown by 35%, then I have failed. And it's good to have these goals and it's good to keep ourselves accountable because there is a natural tendency to go, oh, I'll get there and I'm making progress and that's good. But if we make those goals and those expectations this all or nothing proposition, anything short of that is a failing. And so if I have, over the course of 6 weeks, because of exercise and diet, I've been able to lose 12 of those 25 pounds. If it's an all or nothing proposition, I failed because I haven't lost the 25 pounds. Even though I've made better choices, I'm exercising regularly, I have more energy, I've lost weight, I've lost fat, I've gained muscle, I'm on this positive trajectory. But since I haven't reached my quote unquote goal, I failed. And because I failed, there becomes an emotional baggage that goes along with that. And almost every single goal that we have, along the way, there are markers and there are degrees of success. Even for something like getting a degree, there are 60 classes along the way. And if I don't have the degree, I haven't failed, assuming I'm passing the classes in the order that I want to be passing them. And so it's not something that we set up intentionally. It's not something where I think in these digital terms being all or nothing, but emotionally it's really easy to fall into that place. And I wanted to just tap a little bit for that today, only because the number of clients I've talked to in the last 3 weeks where this is something that has been an unspoken issue, and the instant we tapped on it, it created a lot of space. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about something that you are working toward, a goal of some sort that you feel dissatisfied, that you haven't reached, or you feel overwhelmed because there's so much work associated with that. And so what I want you to do is just tap on the side of your hand, take a nice big deep breath for me. And I just want you to tune in specifically to the feeling of overwhelm or disappointment, the sense of failure, or the sense of not getting there fast enough around that goal. And what I want you to do is I just want you to start at the tippy top of your head and just move from tapping point to tapping point in the order that makes sense to you, using the tapping points that make sense to you. And just repeat after me. There is a part of me that wants me to be successful, that wants so much better for me, that wants me to move forward, that wants me to achieve my goals. And I am so happy that there is a part of me that wants to be successful, that wants better, that knows I am capable of more. I can appreciate where I am, and I can appreciate the blessings of my life, and still recognize the fact that more is possible, that growth is possible, that progress is possible. And there are times in which I look at my goals and I feel disappointed. I feel sad. I feel overwhelmed. And I feel angry because I haven't reached those goals. I know how much better my life will be when I achieve this. But I'm not there. And that is disappointing. But I give myself permission to recognize the fact success is not an all or nothing proposition. It doesn't come down to simply success or simply failure. As I take steps, as I work towards my goal, I am positioning myself to achieve what I want, and there is success along the way. I am already getting better. I am already making progress. And when I don't take the time to acknowledge and appreciate that progress, I do myself a disservice. I end up demotivating myself. I make it harder for me to keep taking action. And so I give myself permission to recognize the fact I am making progress. I am having success. And it is making a difference. Success is not an all or nothing proposition. As I move forward and as I get closer, success comes with me. Success grows. And as those degrees of success increased, so does my enjoyment. So does my enrichment. So does the quality of my life. I give myself permission to keep striving for better, to work towards my well-crafted goals, and to appreciate the progress I'm making in the moment, and to appreciate how that progress is helping me to have a better life right now. Take a nice big deep breath for me. Now, hopefully, you're in a circumstance right now where it feels a little easier and it feels a little gentler with yourself. It's so important to have goals, but it's also important to recognize the fact that they're not all or nothing, and we're not incomplete unless we achieve those goals. Progress is a process, and it adds to us along the way. So I hope you find that tap along useful. I hope you, if there's still something hanging around there, just go back, re-tap along to it. I hope you found that tapping really, really useful. If you know someone in your life, please, please, please be our ambassador. Pass it along. Let someone know. Don't spam your inbox, but send it to one or two people. And if they don't know how to do a podcast, teach them how to do a podcast. If you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to the podcast so you can get every single episode free. In podcasting world, when we say subscribe, there is not a paid subscription involved. You can just get it. You can find the podcast everywhere you listen to audio. You can find it in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Deezer, Stitcher. Anywhere there is audio out there and you are consuming it, you can consume this podcast as well. If you have a question or a comment, I can always be reached, Gene, Gene, at tappingqanda.com. Or if you happen to be in the website, just click on the contact link up above. I love hearing from listeners just like you. Some of the best shows and topics have come from questions and comments. Please let me know how we can be helpful in the future. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Montrastelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Montrestelli Tapping Q&A 2016. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Montrestelli or Tapping Q&A.